Welcome, dear traveler, to a gentle journey through time, where the golden sands of ancient Egypt hold secrets that have whispered across millennia. Allow yourself to settle comfortably, wherever you are resting tonight. Feel your body sinking deeper into your bed, your pillow cradling your head like the soft desert dunes that embrace the timeless pyramids. Take a slow, deep breath in, filling your lungs with calm, and as you exhale, let all the tensions of your day drift away like grains of sand carried on a warm evening breeze. Tonight, we will wander together through 20 fascinating mysteries of ancient Egypt, each one more enchanting than the last. We'll float gently down the sacred Nile, past towering monuments built by hands that lived thousands of years ago. We'll discover the secrets of pharaohs and queens, the wisdom of ancient scribes, and the magic that still shimmers in the desert air. There's no need to remember every detail, no need to stay alert or focused. Simply let my voice guide you, like a gentle current carrying a papyrus boat toward peaceful shores. Allow the mysteries to wash over you, soothing your mind, relaxing every muscle in your body. Breathe in slowly, imagining the warm, golden light of an Egyptian sunset. Breathe out, releasing any remaining worries into the vast, star-filled sky above the Valley of the Kings. Feel yourself becoming lighter, more peaceful, as we prepare to step back through time, to walk among the shadows of ancient temples, to hear the distant echo of ceremonial drums, and to uncover secrets that have been patiently waiting, just for you. The desert wind is calling softly, the mysteries are ready to unfold, and your journey into the heart of ancient Egypt is about to begin. Breathe deeply, and let the journey begin. Chapter 1. The Great Pyramid of Giza. Stone wonder. As we begin our journey, imagine yourself standing on the ancient Giza plateau, where the warm sand shifts gently beneath your feet. The evening air carries the faint scent of desert blooms, and before you rises the most magnificent sight in all of Egypt, the Great Pyramid of Khufu. This towering wonder, built over 4,500 years ago, stretches toward the heavens like a mountain crafted by human hands. Originally standing 481 feet tall, it was once the tallest structure on Earth for nearly 4,000 years. Feel the golden limestone blocks warming under your fingertips, each one weighing as much as 15 tons, yet fitted together with such precision that even today, you cannot slip a knife blade between them. Listen closely, and you might hear the whispers of ancient mystery. For how did the builders, working without modern machinery, quarry and transport over 2 million massive stone blocks? Some came from quarries hundreds of miles away, floated down the gentle Nile on wooden barges, then somehow lifted into place with mathematical perfection that still puzzles engineers today. The desert wind carries stories of the workers, not slaves as once believed, but skilled craftsmen and farmers, fed with bread, garlic, and onions, their villages recently discovered nearby. Yet still the questions drift on the evening breeze. How did they align the pyramid so precisely with the cardinal directions, accurate to within just 3/60ths of a degree? Walk with me around this ancient marvel, feeling the cool shadow it casts across the sand. Notice how the 4 triangular faces seem to shift color with the fading light, from golden amber to deep rose, to the soft purple of twilight. Inside these massive walls lie chambers and passages, including the mysterious Grand Gallery, its corbelled ceiling rising like a stone cathedral. Let the weight of time settle around you, as countless generations have gazed upon these stones, wondering, marveling, and dreaming. Breathe slowly, and let this ancient wonder fade gently into the peaceful desert night. Chapter 2. The Sphinx, guardian of secrets drifting. Softly from the Great Pyramid, we find ourselves standing before another ancient enigma, carved from the living bedrock of Giza. The Great Sphinx gazes eternally eastward, watching the sun rise as it has for thousands upon thousands of years. Feel the cool shadow cast by this magnificent creature, part human, part lion, stretching 240 feet in length, and rising 66 feet toward the star-filled sky. Its weathered limestone face, once painted in brilliant colors, now bears the gentle patina of countless desert storms. The features worn smooth by wind and sand, yet still holding an expression of timeless wisdom. Run your hand along the ancient stone, and wonder with archaeologists and dreamers. Who carved this mysterious guardian, and when? Some say it was built alongside the pyramids, over 4,000 years ago. Others whisper it could be far, far older, carved when the desert was still green, when different stars wheeled overhead. The desert wind carries questions that have puzzled minds for millennia. Whose face gazes so serenely from the lion's body? Some believe it bears the features of Pharaoh Khafra. Others suggest it may represent the sun god Ra-Harakti, rising eternally in the east. But time has kept this secret well, leaving only gentle hints in the weathered stone. Notice how the Sphinx seems to emerge naturally from the desert floor, as if it has always been here, waiting patiently between its great paws. Archaeologists have discovered chambers and tunnels beneath this ancient guardian, hidden passages that may hold scrolls, artifacts, or perhaps more mysteries yet to be revealed. Feel the warm sand that has buried and revealed this wonder countless times throughout history. Sometimes covered to its neck, sometimes completely hidden, as if the desert itself wishes to protect the secrets held within. Between its paws once stood a granite stela, telling of a young prince who cleared away the sand, and in return received prophecy of his destiny to rule all Egypt. Listen to the gentle silence of this eternal sentinel, keeper of riddles, guardian of the threshold between earth and sky, human and divine, past and present. Let that timeless peace settle into your bones, as the Sphinx continues its endless vigil. Chapter 3. The Valley of the Kings. Royal tombs following the gentle current of the Nile southward. We drift toward Luxor, where the western desert holds one of Egypt's most sacred mysteries. The Valley of the Kings, where pharaohs chose to rest for eternity, hidden away from the world in tombs carved deep into the golden limestone cliffs. Feel the dry desert heat warming your skin as you walk among these ancient burial grounds. The valley stretches before you like a natural amphitheater, its towering walls painted in shades of amber and rose by the setting sun. Here, for over 500 years, Egypt's most powerful rulers were laid to rest, their tombs filled with treasures beyond imagination. Step carefully down the carved stone steps of an ancient tomb, feeling the temperature drop as you descend into the cool darkness. Your fingertips trace hieroglyphs painted in brilliant blues, golds, and crimsons, still vivid after 3,000 years. These sacred texts, known as the Book of the Dead, were meant to guide the pharaoh's soul through the mysterious journey of the afterlife. Listen to the whispered secrets of this valley. 63 tombs have been discovered so far, yet archaeologists believe more lie hidden, waiting beneath the shifting sands. Each tomb was sealed and forgotten, protected by curses and prayers, by secret passages and false chambers designed to confuse tomb robbers who sought the golden treasures within. The desert wind carries the memory of that magical day in 1922, when Howard Carter first peered through a small hole into the tomb of young King Tutankhamun, the only royal burial found nearly intact. When asked what he could see, Carter whispered, "Wonderful things, golden chariots, precious jewelry, and a solid gold burial mask that captured the world's imagination." Walk deeper into the valley, where the tomb of Ramesses II lies, and that of Queen Nefertari, whose burial chamber is painted with scenes of such beauty they're called the Sistine Chapel of ancient Egypt. Feel the reverence of this place, where ancient embalmers worked by flickering oil lamps, preparing royal bodies for their eternal journey. The mystery deepens with each discovery. Why did the pharaohs abandon pyramid building for these hidden tombs? How were such intricate chambers carved so precisely into solid rock? And what secrets still lie buried, waiting patiently in the golden silence? Breathe slowly, and let the ancient peace of this sacred valley embrace you. Chapter 4. Tutankhamun's Tomb, the Golden Pharaoh deeper within the Valley of the Kings. we find ourselves drawn to the most famous discovery in archaeological history, the small, almost forgotten tomb of a boy king who ruled Egypt for only 9 short years, yet whose name would become immortal. Tutankhamun. Feel yourself standing beside Howard Carter on that November day in 1922, as his trembling hands enlarge the small hole in the sealed doorway. The flickering candlelight reveals glimmers of gold, strange animal shapes, and treasures that have waited in darkness for over 3,000 years. The air inside is still and sacred, untouched by human breath since ancient priests sealed this tomb and walked away forever. Step carefully into the antechamber, where golden couches shaped like mythical beasts seem to glow in the soft light. Chariots of wood and gold lean against painted walls, their leather still supple after millennia. Boxes and chests overflow with jewelry, clothing, and precious objects the young pharaoh would need in the afterlife. Each item placed with loving care by mourners who never imagined their sacred work would be witnessed by modern eyes. The mystery of this boy king whispers through the chambers. Why did Tutankhamun die so young? Was it illness, accident, or something more sinister? His mummified remains show evidence of a severe head injury, yet the truth remains buried deeper than his golden treasures. Some believe he was murdered, others that he died in a chariot accident while hunting in the desert. Move gently toward the burial chamber, where 4 golden shrines nested one inside another, protected the most magnificent sarcophagus ever found. And within, the famous golden burial mask, crafted from 11 kilograms of solid gold, its serene face gazing eternally upward, inlaid with lapis lazuli and precious stones, a masterpiece that captures the very essence of divine kingship. Feel the weight of the mystery surrounding his lineage. Recent DNA testing suggests he may have been the son of the heretic Pharaoh Akhenaten, the king who tried to change Egypt's religion and was erased from official records. Tutankhamun's reign restored the old gods, the old ways, yet he too was nearly forgotten, his name chiseled from monuments, his tomb overlooked by grave robbers. The desert wind carries whispers of the supposed curse, the strange coincidences that befell some who entered the tomb, though Carter himself lived for many years after his discovery. Perhaps the real magic lies not in curses, but in the wonder of touching something so ancient, so sacred, so perfectly preserved. Let the golden glow of discovery warm your heart, as this young pharaoh's story continues to unfold. Chapter 5. The Temple of Karnak, pillars of eternity drifting eastward from the Valley of the Kings. We cross the sacred Nile to discover the largest temple complex ever built by human hands. Karnak. A place so magnificent that it took over 2,000 years to complete, where generations of pharaohs added their own monuments to honor Amun-Ra, the king of all gods. Feel yourself walking through the great hypostyle hall, where 134 massive columns rise around you like a forest of stone, each one so enormous that 50 people could stand comfortably on its capital. The sandstone pillars stretch 69 feet toward the heavens, their surfaces covered in hieroglyphs and carvings that tell stories of divine triumph, of pharaohs offering gifts to the gods, of eternal cycles of life and rebirth. Listen to the gentle echo of your footsteps on the ancient stone floor, worn smooth by countless pilgrims who came here to worship over the centuries. Shafts of golden sunlight filter down between the columns, creating a play of light and shadow that shifts slowly as the day passes. The air is cool and reverent, filled with the whispered prayers of millennia. Run your fingers along the intricate carvings, feeling the devotion of ancient craftsmen who spent lifetimes perfecting every detail. Notice how each pharaoh tried to outdo their predecessors, building higher, grander, more beautifully. The temple walls tell their stories in stone. Ramesses II, Thutmose III, Hatshepsut, each leaving their mark on this sacred place. The mystery deepens as you explore further. How did ancient architects plan such a massive complex without modern surveying tools? The temple aligns perfectly with celestial movements. The winter solstice sun shines directly through the sanctuary, illuminating the Holy of Holies where only the highest priests could enter. The sacred lake reflects the temple's grandeur, its waters used for ritual purification for over 3,000 years. Walk along the avenue of sphinxes, where hundreds of ram-headed guardians once lined the processional way, connecting Karnak to the Temple of Luxor 2 miles away. During the annual Opet festival, golden barges carrying the statues of gods would float along the Nile, while thousands of pilgrims celebrated, their voices rising in songs of joy that echoed off these very walls. Feel the weight of time in this sacred space, where the obelisks of Queen Hatshepsut still pierce the sky, where the scarab beetle statue grants wishes to those who circle it, where hieroglyphs record the deeds of pharaohs whose names were already ancient when Rome was young. The desert wind whispers through the ruins, carrying the faint memory of incense and ritual chanting, of ceremonies that connected earth to heaven, human to divine, past to eternal present. Breathe slowly, and let the timeless serenity of this sacred place fill your soul. Chapter 6. Abu Simbel, Ramesses Monument. Following the gentle flow of the Nile southward into ancient Nubia, we journey to one of Egypt's most awe-inspiring wonders. Abu Simbel, where the great pharaoh Ramesses II carved his eternal legacy directly into the living rock of a cliff face, creating a monument so magnificent it would inspire wonder for over 3,000 years. Feel the warm desert sand beneath your feet as you approach this incredible sight. 4 colossal statues of Ramesses II sit in eternal majesty, each one rising 65 feet toward the brilliant blue sky, their faces serene and powerful, gazing forever across the waters of the Nile. These giants were carved with such skill that despite their massive size, every detail of the pharaoh's features remains perfectly preserved, from the gentle curve of his lips to the intricate braiding of his ceremonial beard. Step closer to these towering guardians, and notice the smaller figures carved at their feet. Queen Nefertari, beloved wife of Ramesses, and their children, all rendered in exquisite detail. The hieroglyphs covering the facade tell of the pharaoh's great victories, particularly the Battle of Kadesh, where Ramesses claimed divine triumph against the Hittite Empire. Walk through the temple entrance, feeling the cool air as you move from blazing sunlight into the sacred darkness within. The interior chambers stretch 185 feet deep into the solid rock, their walls adorned with painted reliefs that still glow with vibrant colors, blues and golds and crimsons that seem to pulse with life in the flickering shadows. Here, ancient priests once performed daily rituals, offering food and incense to the statues of gods carved from the living stone. But the greatest mystery of Abu Simbel reveals itself twice each year, on February 22nd and October 22nd, the dates believed to be Ramesses' birthday and coronation day. As the sun rises on these sacred mornings, its golden rays penetrate deep into the temple, traveling down the long corridor to illuminate 3 of the 4 statues in the inner sanctuary. The 4th statue, representing Ptah, god of the underworld, remains forever in shadow, a feat of engineering and astronomy that still amazes modern architects. Feel the wonder of this achievement. How did ancient builders calculate the precise angles needed? How did they align the temple so perfectly with the movements of the sun and stars? The desert wind carries whispers of the master craftsmen who spent decades carving this monument, their knowledge of mathematics and astronomy rivaling that of any civilization. In modern times, this wonder faced its greatest challenge. When the Aswan High Dam threatened to flood Abu Simbel forever, the entire temple complex was carefully cut into massive blocks, moved to higher ground, and reassembled with such precision that the solar alignment still functions perfectly. A testament to human dedication to preserving the marvels of the past. Listen to the silence of this sacred place, where the desert meets the river, where human ambition touched the divine, where stone speaks across millennia of power, love, and the eternal desire to be remembered. Let the golden light of eternal morning wash over you, as Ramesses continues his endless vigil. Chapter 7. The Book of the Dead, Journey to afterlife, leaving the grand monuments behind. We enter the quieter realm of ancient wisdom, where delicate papyrus scrolls hold the most sacred secrets of Egyptian belief. The Book of the Dead, though this name is modern, for the Egyptians called it the Book of Coming Forth by Day. A guide for souls navigating the mysterious journey from earthly life to eternal paradise. Imagine yourself in the scriptorium of an ancient temple, where skilled scribes work by the gentle glow of oil lamps, their reed pens moving gracefully across sheets of precious papyrus. The air is fragrant with ink made from carbon and gum, and the rustle of papyrus whispers like desert grass in the evening breeze. Each scroll is a masterpiece, taking months to complete, painted with meticulous care in hieroglyphs of deepest black and brilliant gold. Feel the smooth texture of ancient papyrus beneath your fingertips, as you unfurl a scroll over 3,000 years old. The text begins with spells and prayers, nearly 200 different incantations that the deceased might need in the afterlife. Some ensure the heart continues beating in the next world. Others provide light in the darkness of the underworld, or grant the power to transform into different creatures. A hawk to soar freely, a lotus flower to be reborn each morning. Follow the painted journey of the soul as it travels through the duat, the mysterious underworld realm. Here, fantastic creatures guard gateways. Their names must be spoken correctly to pass. Rivers of fire must be crossed. Demons must be outwitted with clever riddles and magical words. The artwork depicts these challenges in vivid detail. Serpents with human heads, lakes of boiling water, caverns filled with mysterious light. The most crucial moment comes in the Hall of Two Truths, where the heart of the deceased is weighed against the feather of Ma'at, goddess of truth and justice. Feel the cosmic importance of this scene, painted with such reverence in tomb after tomb. The jackal-headed god Anubis operates the golden scales, while Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom, records the result. If the heart is pure, lighter than the feather, the soul achieves eternal life. If heavy with sin, the monster Ammit devours it, and the soul ceases to exist. The desert wind carries questions that have puzzled scholars for generations. How did these beliefs evolve over thousands of years? Why did Egyptians spend such enormous resources on death rituals? The papyri reveal a civilization obsessed not with death, but with the continuation of life, with maintaining identity and consciousness beyond the physical world. They believed the afterlife was simply another phase of existence, requiring preparation and guidance. Notice the beautiful vignettes painted between the text, showing the deceased working in the field of reeds, a paradise where grain grows taller than a person, where the Nile never fails to flood, where families reunite and feast together for eternity. These scenes glow with hope, painted in the most precious pigments available, lapis lazuli blue like the perfect sky, gold leaf that catches the lamplight like captured sunlight. Each scroll was personalized, containing the name and titles of its owner, their specific prayers and hopes for the journey ahead. Some belonged to pharaohs, others to humble scribes or craftsmen, all equal in their need for guidance through the mysteries of death and rebirth. Let these ancient dreams of eternity drift gently through your mind, as timeless as the desert stars. Chapter 8. Cleopatra's Alexandria, lost city drifting northward toward the Mediterranean coast. We find ourselves drawn to the watery mysteries of Alexandria, the legendary city founded by Alexander the Great, where the brilliant Queen Cleopatra once ruled from palaces that now lie beneath the gentle waves, their marble columns and golden treasures swallowed by time and rising seas. Feel the cool Mediterranean breeze carrying the salt scent of the sea, as you stand on the modern harbor's edge, gazing down through crystal clear waters where the shadows of ancient wonders rest in sandy silence. 25 feet below, archaeologists have discovered the remnants of the royal quarter, where Cleopatra walked through gardens of jasmine and lotus, where she entertained Julius Caesar and Mark Antony in halls lined with precious stones and shimmering silk. Imagine yourself diving gently into these sacred waters, moving like a dream through the submerged ruins. Your fingers trace carved hieroglyphs on granite statues that once lined the ceremonial boulevards. Broken columns of red porphyry and green marble lie scattered like fallen giants, their surfaces worn smooth by centuries of tide and current. Schools of silver fish swim through doorways where courtiers once bowed before their pharaoh queen. The mystery deepens as you explore this underwater museum. How much of ancient Alexandria was lost to earthquakes and tsunamis? How much to the gradual rise of the Mediterranean? Historians tell us that Cleopatra's palace complex covered nearly a square mile, containing libraries, temples, theaters, and the famous Lighthouse of Alexandria, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, its beacon visible 30 miles out to sea. Listen to the gentle lapping of waves against stone blocks that once formed the Great Library, where 500,000 scrolls contained the wisdom of the ancient world. Scholars came from across the Mediterranean to study mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and philosophy. The library's destruction remains one of history's greatest losses, though some scrolls may still rest beneath these peaceful waters, their secrets preserved in sealed chambers yet to be discovered. Feel the romance and tragedy that clings to these ruins like sea foam. Here lived Cleopatra VII, last pharaoh of Egypt, speaker of 9 languages, patron of arts and sciences. She was not merely the seductress of legend, but a brilliant ruler who spoke directly with her people, the first Ptolemaic pharaoh to learn the Egyptian language. Her palace gardens grew the rarest plants from across Africa and Asia, while her fleets traded with India, Arabia, and distant lands beyond the known world. The warm Mediterranean current carries whispers of her final days, when Roman legions approached and her dreams of an independent Egypt crumbled like sandcastles. Rather than face capture, she chose death by the bite of an asp, the sacred cobra that symbolized pharaonic power. Her tomb, containing unimaginable treasures, has never been found, perhaps lost forever beneath the shifting sands or restless waves. Walk through these liquid ruins where carved sphinxes guard empty courtyards, where mosaics of colored glass still gleam on underwater floors, where the ghost of ancient Alexandria shimmers in the filtered sunlight. Modern archaeologists continue their patient work, raising statues and artifacts that tell the story of a city that was once the jewel of the Mediterranean, the bridge between Egyptian wisdom and Greek learning. The sea whispers its eternal secrets, keeping safe the mysteries of a queen whose legend grows more fascinating with each passing century. Breathe slowly, and let the gentle waves carry you toward peaceful dreams. Chapter 9. The Rosetta Stone, key to hieroglyphs traveling to the fertile Nile Delta, where the great river spreads its life-giving waters across the Mediterranean coastal plains. We discover the story of a simple black stone that unlocked thousands of years of silence. The Rosetta Stone, found by French soldiers in 1799, buried near the town of Rosetta, holding within its dark surface the key to understanding the sacred writing of ancient Egypt. Feel the smooth basalt beneath your fingertips, this unassuming slab of volcanic rock, just 3 feet tall and 2 feet wide, yet containing one of history's most important discoveries. The stone bears the same text carved in 3 different scripts, ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs at the top, Demotic Egyptian in the middle, and ancient Greek at the bottom, like a bridge spanning the centuries between the pharaohs and the modern world. Imagine the excitement of scholars when they realized what they had found. For over 1,500 years, hieroglyphs had been silent mysteries, their meaning lost when the last priests of the old religion passed away. Temple walls, tomb paintings, and papyrus scrolls covered with these beautiful symbols remain as mute as the desert stones, their secrets locked away, waiting patiently for someone to find the key. Listen to the gentle whisper of desert wind across the delta, carrying the memory of that breakthrough moment when Jean-François Champollion, a brilliant young French scholar, finally cracked the code in 1822. He discovered that hieroglyphs were not just pictures, but a complex writing system that combined ideograms, phonetic symbols, and determinatives. The stone's trilingual inscription, a decree honoring Ptolemy V, became the foundation for understanding an entire civilization's written legacy. Feel the wonder of that first translation, as ancient voices began to speak again after millennia of silence. Suddenly, the walls of temples came alive with stories. Pharaohs spoke their names across the centuries. Priests shared their prayers and wisdom. Common people left messages for loved ones. Love letters, business contracts, medical texts, astronomical calculations, all waiting to be read like letters from the distant past. Walk through the reedy marshlands of the Delta, where papyrus plants still grow as they did in ancient times, their stems once harvested to create the writing material that preserved so much knowledge. The warm sun filters through the green fronds, creating patterns of light and shadow that dance like hieroglyphs themselves. Water birds call across the wetlands, their cries echoing the same sounds heard by ancient scribes who worked in temples along these very banks. The mystery deepens when you consider the stone's journey through time. Created in 196 BCE during the Ptolemaic period, when Greek rulers governed Egypt, it was likely displayed in a temple for centuries. Then buried or abandoned, forgotten for nearly 2,000 years, until French soldiers, building fortifications, unearthed it from the mud and debris near the town of Rosetta. Notice how this single discovery transformed our understanding of ancient Egypt. Before the Rosetta Stone, scholars could only guess at the meanings of hieroglyphic texts. They knew the monuments were magnificent, but the thoughts and beliefs of their builders remained mysterious. After Champollion's breakthrough, Egyptian civilization came alive, revealing a people fascinated by mathematics, medicine, astronomy, literature, and the divine mysteries of life and death. The gentle delta breeze carries gratitude for this gift of understanding. How one small stone, found by chance, opened the door to countless treasures of human knowledge. The hieroglyphs now speak clearly of pharaohs and commoners, of gods and mortals, of daily life along the eternal Nile. Let the ancient voices fade gently into peaceful silence, their stories safely preserved once more. Chapter 10. Dendera Temple, Zodiac Mystery. Following the Nile's gentle current northward, we arrive at the sacred temple of Dendera, dedicated to Hathor, goddess of love, music, and joy. Here, carved into the ceiling of a darkened chapel, lies one of ancient Egypt's most puzzling astronomical treasures, the mysterious Dendera zodiac, a star map that has captivated scholars and dreamers for over 2 centuries. Feel yourself entering the temple of Hathor as evening approaches, the sandstone walls still warm from the desert sun. Your footsteps echo softly through corridors lined with carved columns topped with the gentle face of the cow-eared goddess. The air is cool and sacred, filled with the lingering essence of frankincense burned here for over 2,000 years. Hieroglyphs cover every surface, telling stories of divine love and celestial wisdom. Climb the narrow stone stairway leading to the rooftop chapels, feeling the ancient steps worn smooth by countless pilgrims and priests. Above you, the first stars begin to appear in the deepening sky, the same constellations that guided ancient Egyptian astronomers in creating their masterpiece. As you reach the small chamber, look up to witness one of archaeology's most remarkable discoveries. There, carved in intricate detail on the sandstone ceiling, stretches a complete map of the heavens as the ancients understood them. The circular zodiac shows familiar constellations alongside uniquely Egyptian star groups: Scorpius the Scorpion, Leo the Lion, and Draco the Dragon wind across the stone sky, while the goddess Nut, her star-covered body arched protectively overhead, embraces the entire cosmos in her loving arms. Run your fingers along the carved figures, feeling the devotion of ancient artisans who worked by flickering oil lamps. The zodiac includes both Egyptia and decans, groups of stars that mark the passage of 10-day weeks, and Greek zodiacal signs introduced during the Ptolemaic period. This blending of traditions creates a unique astronomical document, showing how ancient cultures shared and adapted their knowledge of the stars. Listen to the desert wind whispering across the temple roof, carrying the mysteries that have puzzled researchers for generations. When exactly was this zodiac created? Some evidence suggests it dates to around 50 BCE, during the reign of Cleopatra VII, while other clues point to earlier periods. The positioning of certain planets and constellations may encode specific historical events. Astronomical alignments that occurred only once in millennia. Feel the wonder of ancient Egyptian astronomy. These priest astronomers tracked the movements of stars with remarkable precision. They knew that Sirius, the brightest star in their sky, rose just before the Nile's annual flood. They calculated the length of the year to within minutes of our modern measurements. Their calendar, based on careful observation of celestial cycles, became the foundation for our own modern timekeeping? Notice the beautiful integration of science and spirituality in this sacred space. The zodiac was not merely an astronomical tool, but a religious text written in stars. Each constellation represented a deity, each planet carried divine messages. The priests who studied these patterns believed they could read the will of the gods in the nightly dance of celestial bodies. The original zodiac was carefully removed by French archaeologists in 1821, transported to Paris where it now rests in the Louvre Museum. But here in the temple, a faithful replica continues to inspire visitors, while the same stars that guided ancient Egyptian souls still wheel overhead, unchanged and eternal. Walk quietly around this celestial map, feeling the connection between earth and sky that was so central to Egyptian belief. The temple walls record the goddess Hathor's journey through the underworld, her nightly death and rebirth with the sun, mirroring the eternal cycles shown in the zodiac above. The warm night air carries the scent of desert flowers, while overhead, the real constellations begin their ancient dance, the same patterns that inspired this masterpiece of stone and starlight. Breathe slowly, and let the eternal rhythms of the cosmos carry you toward peaceful rest. Chapter 11. The Bent Pyramid, ancient experiment drifting south from Memphis to the quiet desert necropolis of Dashur. We encounter one of ancient Egypt's most intriguing architectural mysteries. The Bent Pyramid of Pharaoh Sneferu, a monument that tells the story of human ambition, ancient engineering challenges, and the bold experimentation that led to the perfection of pyramid building. Feel the soft desert sand shifting beneath your feet as you approach this unusual wonder. Rising 344 feet into the cloudless sky, the pyramid's distinctive silhouette sets it apart from all others. Its lower half climbs steeply at an angle of 54 degrees, then suddenly, about halfway up, the angle changes dramatically to a gentler 43 degrees, creating the characteristic, bent, appearance that has puzzled visitors for over 4,000 years. Walk slowly around the pyramid's base, running your hands along the smooth limestone casing stones that still cover much of the structure. Unlike most other pyramids, where the outer casing has long since been stripped away, the bent pyramid retains much of its original polished surface, gleaming like burnished gold in the desert sunlight. These precisely fitted blocks reveal the extraordinary skill of ancient masons, each stone cut to perfection and placed with mathematical precision. Listen to the whispered theories carried on the desert wind. Why did the ancient builders change the pyramid's angle so dramatically during construction? Some scholars believe the original steep angle created structural problems, threatening the stability of the massive stone blocks above. Others suggest the pharaoh grew impatient, ordering his architects to complete the monument more quickly by reducing its slope. Still others propose it was a deliberate design choice, representing the pharaoh's journey from earth to heaven. Step inside through the narrow entrance passage, feeling the cool air that has been trapped within these chambers for millennia. The corbelled ceiling rises above you in perfectly fitted stone, each block supporting enormous weight without mortar. The interior chambers showcase advanced engineering techniques, including the earliest known example of a bent core. Belled ceiling, where the builders experimented with new methods of distributing the pyramid's massive load. Feel the presence of Pharaoh Sneferu, the founder of the 4th dynasty, whose reign marked the golden age of pyramid building. This innovative ruler didn't stop with just one experimental pyramid. He also built the nearby Red Pyramid, the first successfully completed true pyramid, and possibly the collapsed pyramid at Mitam, making him responsible for more pyramid construction than any other pharaoh in history. The desert silence holds secrets of ancient trial and error, of master builders learning their craft through bold experimentation. Notice how the bent pyramid represents a crucial moment in architectural evolution. A stepping stone between the earlier step pyramids and the later perfection of Giza. Each challenge faced by Sneferu's architects brought them closer to the engineering mastery that would create the Great Pyramid. Gaze up at the pyramid's unusual profile against the star-filled sky, and imagine the ancient workers who labored here, hauling massive limestone blocks up increasingly steep ramps, facing the unprecedented challenge of building higher than anyone before them. When structural concerns arose, they adapted, innovated, and ultimately succeeded in creating something unprecedented. The warm evening breeze carries the whispers of ancient problem-solving, of architects drawing plans in sand, of engineers calculating loads and stresses with primitive tools but brilliant minds. The bent pyramid stands as a monument not just to royal power, but to human ingenuity, creativity, and the willingness to learn from mistakes. Modern engineers still study this ancient experiment, marveling at solutions devised over 4 millennia ago. The pyramid's dual-angled design actually makes it more stable than initially thought, its unusual shape distributing weight in ways that have allowed it to survive earthquakes, sandstorms, and the passage of countless centuries. Let the innovative spirit of ancient builders inspire your dreams, as the bent pyramid continues its eternal vigil over the desert sands. Chapter 12. Saqqara, the step pyramid journeying to the ancient necropolis of Saqqara. We stand before humanity's first monumental stone building, the step pyramid of Djoser, where the brilliant architect Imhotep forever changed the course of human construction, transforming a simple burial mound into a stairway to the heavens, built over 4,500 years ago. Feel the ancient sand warm beneath your feet as you approach this revolutionary monument. 6 massive steps rise 204 feet into the desert sky, each level smaller than the one below, creating a giant stone staircase that the pharaoh's soul could climb to reach the stars. The limestone blocks, quarried nearby, still bear the marks of copper tools used by workers whose names have been lost to time, yet whose achievement changed architecture forever. Walk slowly around the pyramid's rectangular base, noticing how different it appears from the smooth-sided pyramids at Giza. This stepped design reflects an earlier vision of the afterlife, when Egyptians believed the dead king would ascend level by level through the heavens, each step bringing him closer to joining Ra, the sun god, in his eternal journey across the sky. The rough-hewn blocks seem to pulse with the experimental energy of master builders creating something entirely new. Step through the entrance of the vast mortuary complex that surrounds the pyramid, where Imhotep designed the world's first stone columns, walls, and courtyards. The enclosure stretches across 37 acres, filled with dummy buildings made of solid stone, their false doors and windows facing the afterlife. Here, the pharaoh's Ka, his spiritual double, could continue ruling his kingdom throughout eternity. Listen to the desert wind whistling through the reconstructed colonnades, carrying whispers of the Sed festival, a ritual of royal renewal that Djoser would celebrate forever in these stone pavilions. The fluted columns, carved to resemble bundles of papyrus and lotus, show how the earliest stone architects copied forms they knew from wood and plant construction, learning as they built, inventing techniques that would be used for millennia. Feel the revolutionary spirit of this place, where for the first time in human history, builders dared to stack cut stone blocks to monumental heights. Before Imhotep, royal tombs were low mud brick structures called mastabas. But this visionary architect imagined something unprecedented, stacking 6 mastabas of decreasing size, creating the world's first pyramid. The workers must have labored with a mixture of excitement and terror, building higher than anyone had ever attempted, Descend into the burial chamber deep beneath the pyramid, reached through a network of tunnels and shafts carved into the bedrock. The walls are lined with beautiful blue faience tiles, designed to mimic the reed mats that decorated palace walls. Even in death, the pharaoh would be surrounded by familiar beauty. The granite burial chamber, though robbed in antiquity, still holds the mystery of Egypt's earliest pyramid burial. The morning sun casts long shadows across the step pyramid's eastern face, illuminating the hieroglyphs that record Djoser's names and titles. This pharaoh of the third dynasty ruled during Egypt's Old Kingdom, a time when the unified nation was growing in confidence and ambition. His decision to build in stone rather than traditional mud brick reflected a desire for eternal permanence, a monument that would last forever. Notice the smaller pyramids and mastaba tombs scattered across Saqqara's sandy plateau. This vast necropolis served Memphis, Egypt's first capital city, for over 3,000 years. Royal family members, nobles, and high officials all chose to be buried in the shadow of Djoser's great innovation. The step pyramid became the prototype that inspired all later pyramid building, from the bent pyramid at Dashur to the Great Pyramid at Giza. The desert silence holds memories of Imhotep, whose genius earned him deification in later periods. He was architect, physician, astronomer, and sage, one of the few non-royal Egyptians whose name survived across the millennia. His step pyramid stands as testament to the power of human imagination, the courage to attempt the impossible, and the skill to make dreams reality in stone. Breathe slowly, and let the pioneering spirit of ancient innovation carry you toward peaceful rest. Chapter 13. The Nile, river of life. Leaving the monuments behind, we turn our attention to the life force of ancient Egypt itself. The sacred Nile, flowing northward through the desert like a ribbon of silver and green, bringing life to an otherwise barren land. Worshipped as a god, celebrated as a miracle, and still holding mysteries that puzzle modern scientists. Feel yourself floating gently on the eternal current, drifting past scenes that have remained unchanged for thousands of years. Palm trees lean gracefully over the water's edge, their fronds rustling softly in the warm breeze. Papyrus reeds sway in the shallows, their green heads dancing above the surface where ancient scribes once harvested them to create the world's first paper. The water is cool and clear, reflecting the brilliant blue sky like a liquid mirror. Listen to the gentle splash of oars as a traditional felucca glides past, its white sail billowing in the afternoon breeze. These elegant boats have carried travelers along the Nile for over 4,000 years, their design perfected by countless generations of river pilots who learned to read the currents, the wind patterns, and the secret channels that shift with each flood season. Drift downstream past fields of emerald green, where wheat and barley grow in the rich black soil deposited by countless floods. The ancient Egyptians called their land, Kemet, the Black Land, distinguishing the fertile river valley from Deshret, the red land of the surrounding desert. This narrow strip of abundance, rarely more than 10 miles wide, supported one of history's greatest civilizations for over 3,000 years. Feel the mystery of the Nile's annual flood, the miracle that Egyptian priests celebrated as the tears of the goddess Isis. For millennia, no one knew where this life-giving water came from. The river seemed to flow from the edge of the world itself, rising mysteriously each summer to cover the land with fertile silt, then receding to reveal fields ready for planting. Modern science has revealed the flood's source in Ethiopian highlands, but the ancient mystery remains beautiful in its divine simplicity. Notice the incredible length of this sacred river, flowing over 4,000 miles from its sources in the heart of Africa to the Mediterranean Sea. The longest river in the world, winding through landscapes of incredible diversity, from tropical forests to scorching deserts. Yet it was here in Egypt that the Nile achieved its greatest glory, transforming a narrow desert valley into the cradle of civilization. Watch the sun setting over the western bank, painting the water in shades of gold and crimson. The ancient Egyptians oriented their entire cosmology around the Nile's east-west valley, The sun go. Ra sailed across the sky each day, dying in the west where the desert cliffs met the river, then traveling through the underworld to be reborn in the east. The river became a highway between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. Feel the gentle current carrying you past temples and tombs, past the ruins of ancient cities that once thrived on these banks. Memphis, Thebes, Amarna, their stones now scattered but their memory preserved in the eternal flow of the sacred waters. Crocodiles bask on muddy banks, living remnants of Sobek, the crocodile god who was both feared and worshipped by ancient river dwellers. The mystery deepens when you consider how perfectly the Nile shaped Egyptian civilization. Its annual cycle of flood, planting, and harvest became the rhythm of life itself. The need to predict flooding created astronomy and mathematics. The distribution of flood waters required complex administration and record-keeping. The transportation of goods along the river fostered trade and cultural exchange. The Nile didn't just support Egyptian civilization, it created it. Modern dams and irrigation have tamed the ancient flood cycle, but the river's essential character remains unchanged. It still flows northward through the desert, still brings life to the land, still carries vessels between Upper and Lower Egypt as it has for millennia. The feluccas share the waterway with modern boats, but the river's timeless magic endures. Listen to the evening call of waterbirds settling in the reeds, ibises and herons whose ancestors provided models for hieroglyphic writing. The gentle lap of waves against the bank creates a rhythm as old as human civilization. A lullaby that has soothed countless generations along these sacred shores. Let the eternal flow of the Nile carry your thoughts toward the restful delta of sleep. Chapter 14. Mummification, preserving eternity. Entering the sacred realm of ancient Egyptian beliefs about death and rebirth, we discover the mysterious art of mummification, a complex ritual that preserved bodies for thousands of years, reflecting the deep conviction that death was not an ending, but a transformation into eternal life, where the physical body would be needed once again. Feel yourself in the gentle presence of ancient embalmers, working in the Pernefer, the house of beauty, where bodies were prepared for their eternal journey. The air is fragrant with natron salt, frankincense, and sacred oils imported from distant lands. Cedar oil from Lebanon, myrrh from Arabia, cassia from India, each substance chosen for its preservative properties and spiritual significance. Soft linen wrappings lie ready, woven from the finest flax grown along the Nile's banks. Listen to the quiet chanting of priests as they perform the sacred rituals, each step in the 70-day process carried out with reverent precision. The embalmers were not merely craftsmen, but holy servants who believed they were helping to recreate the mythical mummification of Osiris, god of the underworld, whose dismembered body was lovingly reassembled by his wife Isis, making him the first mummy and ruler of the afterlife. Watch as the master embalmers begin their delicate work, first washing the body in wine and spices, then carefully removing the internal organs through a small incision. The liver, lungs, stomach, and intestines are preserved separately in canopic jars, each protected by a different god. Imsati with a human head, Hapi the baboon, Duamutif the jackal, and Kebesanuff the falcon. The heart, seat of intelligence and emotion, remains in the body, needed for judgment in the afterlife. Feel the mystery of the brain's removal, accomplished through the nose with long bronze hooks, a procedure so skillful that modern doctors marvel at the technique. The skull is then filled with resin and spices, while the body cavity is packed with natron salt, the same mineral that naturally preserved bodies in the desert sand. This divine salt, harvested from lakes in the western desert, would draw out all moisture over the course of 40 days. Notice the beautiful amulets placed between the linen wrappings, each one carved with protective spells and sacred symbols. The golden scarab beetle over the heart, symbol of resurrection. The Eye of Horus for protection and healing. The D-Jade pillar representing stability. The A-NKH sign of eternal life. Each layer of linen is blessed with prayers and anointed with oils, creating not just physical preservation but spiritual armor for the journey ahead. Observe the careful attention to every detail, even the fingers and toes wrapped individually, the nails sometimes covered with gold sheaths, the face painted with ochre and adorned with a golden mask for royal mummies. The entire process requires the skills of surgeons, chemists, artists, and priests, all working together to achieve perfect preservation. The desert wind carries the scent of juniper berries and cinnamon, spices used to perfume the final wrappings. As the 70-day ritual nears completion, the mummy is placed in its coffin, often nested within multiple sarcophagi like Russian dolls, each layer decorated with protective texts and images of gods. The outermost coffin might be carved from stone, the inner ones from precious wood covered in gold leaf. Feel the profound love and respect shown to the deceased, regardless of their station in life. Even the simplest mummies received careful treatment, their bodies preserved with the same basic techniques used for pharaohs. This democratic approach to death reflected the Egyptian belief that all souls deserved a chance at eternal life, though the wealthy could afford more elaborate preparations. The mystery deepens when modern science examines these ancient mummies. CT scans reveal not only the embalmer's techniques but also details of ancient life, diseases, injuries, even the contents of final meals. Some mummies are so well preserved that their faces remain recognizable, their skin supple, their hair intact, testament to skills that modern morticians still struggle to match. Walk quietly through this sacred space where death becomes transformation, where loving hands prepare souls for their greatest journey. The embalmers work by lamplight, their movements gentle and reverent, knowing they participate in mysteries as old as Egyptian civilization itself. Let the peaceful rituals of eternal preparation carry you toward your own restful transformation. Chapter 15. Hatshepsut's Temple. The female pharaoh nestled against the golden cliffs of Deir el-Bahari on the west bank of the Nile. We discover one of ancient Egypt's most elegant architectural achievements, the mortuary temple of Hatshepsut, the remarkable woman who ruled as pharaoh for 22 peaceful years, her temple rising in graceful terraces like a natural extension of the limestone cliffs themselves. Feel the cool morning air as you approach this masterpiece of ancient design. 3 colonnaded terraces ascend toward the sacred cliffs, connected by long ramps that seem to invite the soul to climb from the earthly realm toward the divine. The temple's horizontal lines harmonize perfectly with the natural rock formations behind, creating a sense of timeless serenity that has inspired architects for over 3,000 years. The limestone columns glow pale gold in the gentle desert light. Walk slowly up the processional causeway, flanked by sphinx statues bearing Hatshepsut's face, though many were later recarved by her stepson Thutmose III, who sought to erase her memory from history. The path leads through terraced gardens where myrrh trees once grew, their precious resin imported from the mysterious land of Punt, somewhere along the Red Sea coast. These exotic plants represented Hatshepsut's successful trade expeditions, bringing prosperity to Egypt through commerce rather than conquest. Listen to the desert wind whispering through the colonnades, carrying stories of this extraordinary woman who took the unprecedented step of declaring herself pharaoh. Initially ruling as regent for the young Thutmose III, she gradually assumed full royal power, adopting the traditional false beard and royal regalia of kingship, yet never completely abandoning her feminine identity. Her temple walls show her both as a bearded king and as a woman receiving the blessing of the gods. Step into the cool shadows of the middle colonnade, where vibrant painted reliefs once covered every surface. Many have faded or been deliberately defaced, but enough remains to glimpse their original splendor. Here are depicted the divine birth of Hatshepsut, showing the god Amun as her father, and the famous expedition to Punt, with detailed images of exotic animals, incense trees, and foreign rulers bearing gifts to the Egyptian queen. Feel the revolutionary nature of Hatshepsut's reign. In a civilization where pharaohs were expected to be warrior kings, she chose a different path, focusing on trade, building projects, and internal prosperity. Her reign of over 2 decades was marked by peace and economic growth. The temple itself stands as testimony to her artistic vision and administrative skill, its innovative design influencing temple architecture for centuries to come. Notice the temple's perfect integration with its natural setting. The architect Senenmut, who may have been more than just Hatshepsut's chief minister, designed the structure to appear as if it grew from the living rock. The sacred bark shrine cut deep into the cliff face connects the temple directly with the Valley of the Kings beyond, where Hatshepsut was eventually buried, though her mummy wandered through several tombs before being identified in modern times. The morning sun illuminates the birth colonnade, where painted scenes show the divine conception and birth of a female pharaoh. These images were revolutionary, adapting traditional royal iconography to justify a woman's right to rule. The gods themselves, including Amun-Ra and Hathor, are shown blessing her reign, providing divine legitimacy for her unprecedented assumption of power. Walk through the Punt Colonnade, where exotic treasures are displayed in stone. Fish from the Red Sea, giraffes and leopards from Africa, ebony and gold, ivory and incense. All the wealth of the known world flowing into Egypt through peaceful trade rather than military conquest. Hatshepsut's approach proved that prosperity could come through diplomacy and commerce, though later pharaohs would return to more traditional warfare. The temple's upper terrace houses the Holy of Holies, where Hatshepsut communed with Amun-Ra, the king of gods who legitimized her rule. The sanctuary is carved directly into the cliff face, connecting her temple with the sacred mountain that the ancients believed was the dwelling place of the divine. Here, in perfect silence, the female pharaoh performed the daily rituals that maintained cosmic order. Feel the tragic irony of Hatshepsut's legacy. Despite her successful reign, her stepson Thutmose III later ordered her images and inscriptions destroyed, her name chiseled from monuments, her statues smashed and buried. Yet her temple survived, its beauty and innovation speaking across the millennia of a remarkable ruler whose vision transcended traditional gender roles. The desert silence holds the mystery of her disappearance from history, until modern archaeologists pieced together her story from surviving fragments, revealing one of Egypt's most capable and innovative pharaohs, a woman who dared to rule in her own right and left a legacy of peace and prosperity. Breathe slowly, and let the quiet strength of this pioneering queen inspire your dreams. Chapter 16. The Pyramidion. Capstone secrets high above the desert sands, at the very apex of every ancient pyramid, once rested one of Egypt's most mysterious and sacred objects, the Pyramidion, a small pyramid-shaped capstone that crowned these monumental tombs, catching the first rays of dawn and the last light of sunset, transforming each pyramid into a beacon of divine light that connected earth to heaven. Feel yourself climbing in your dreams to the very summit of the Great Pyramid, where the missing Pyramidion once gleamed like a star fallen to earth. These precious capstones were crafted from the finest materials, granite, basalt, or even electrum, a shining alloy of gold and silver that blazed like the sun itself. The ancient name for Pyramidion was Benbenet, related to the sacred Benben stone, the primordial mound from which the sun god Ra first arose. Imagine the moment of placement, when master craftsmen, working with ropes and levers, carefully positioned the Pyramidion at the pyramid's peak. The ceremony would have been deeply sacred, marking the completion of the pharaoh's eternal dwelling. As the capstone settled into place, the entire monument became a giant sundial, its shadow tracking the movement of Ra across the heavens, while its apex caught and reflected the divine light. Listen to the desert wind whistling around these vanished capstones, carrying mysteries that archaeologists still ponder. Why have so few Pyramidions survived? Most were likely stolen in antiquity, their precious materials too tempting for tomb robbers who could more easily reach the pyramid's summit than its sealed burial chambers. Others may have fallen during earthquakes, their fragments lost in the surrounding sands. Notice the beautiful Pyramidions that do survive, displayed now in museums around the world. The Pyramidion of Amenemhet III bears exquisite hieroglyphic inscriptions, prayers that ensured the sun god would recognize the pharaoh's pyramid from the heavens above. The capstone of the Red Pyramid at Dashur, carved from fine-grained limestone, shows traces of the red paint that may have covered many such monuments, turning them into brilliant jewels against the desert sky. Feel the symbolic power these capstones represented. The pyramid shape itself was sacred to the Egyptians, representing the primordial mound of creation, the first land to emerge from the waters of chaos. By placing a miniature pyramid at the monument's peak, the builders created a perfect symbol of renewal. Death and rebirth, the pharaoh's soul would ascend through the pyramid's core, emerging at the Pyramidion to join the sun god's eternal journey. Walk among the ruins of smaller pyramids where some capstones remain, at Dashur and Saqqara, where you can still see these sacred objects in their original positions, weathered by millennia but still crowned with dignity. The afternoon sun strikes their polished surfaces, creating flashes of reflected light that dance across the surrounding desert, just as they did when the pharaohs still ruled from Memphis. Consider the mathematical precision required to create a perfect pyramidion. The capstone's angles must exactly match those of the pyramid below, its faces aligned precisely with the cardinal directions. Ancient craftsmen achieved this perfection using only copper tools, wooden measuring devices, and geometric knowledge passed down through generations of master builders. Each pyramidion was a masterpiece of engineering in miniature. The golden hour light reveals the deeper mystery. How did these capstones affect the pyramid's spiritual function? Some theories suggest they were more than decorative. Perhaps they served as focal points for ritual, or as markers for astronomical alignments. The pyramid texts speak of the pharaoh becoming a star. Could the blazing pyramidion have represented the pharaoh's stellar transformation, his soul shining forth as a new star in the heavens? Feel the loss of these crowning jewels. When complete with their gleaming capstones, the pyramids would have appeared as perfect geometric forms, their smooth sides rising without interruption from base to glowing apex. The Great Pyramid, crowned with its electrum pyramidion, must have been visible for miles, a beacon of divine kingship that announced the pharaoh's eternal presence to all who approached the royal necropolis. Modern attempts to calculate the original appearance of these monuments reveal pyramids of breathtaking beauty, their white limestone sides rising to golden peaks that caught and reflected light like massive prisms. The entire Giza plateau would have sparkled with reflected sunlight, creating a vision of divine splendor that proclaimed the pharaoh's successful journey to the afterlife. The desert evening settles around these incomplete monuments, their flat tops open to the star-filled sky. Yet in imagination, we can restore their missing crowns, seeing them as their builders intended, perfect forms that bridged the gap between human ambition and divine eternity. Let the golden light of these vanished capstones guide you toward peaceful dreams. Chapter 17. Abydos, the Osiris Temple deep in Upper Egypt, where the desert meets the fertile fields of the Nile, lies one of ancient Egypt's most sacred places. Abydos, home to the magnificent temple of Seti I and the eternal resting place of Osiris, lord of the underworld. Here, pilgrims journeyed for thousands of years to honor the god of death and rebirth, believing that prayers offered in this holy place would ensure their own resurrection in the afterlife. Feel the reverent silence as you approach the temple through the desert morning. The limestone walls rise gracefully from the sand, their surfaces covered with some of the finest relief carvings ever created by human hands. Built by Pharaoh Seti I and completed by his son, the great Ramesses II, this temple represents the pinnacle of ancient Egyptian artistry, where every hieroglyph was carved with loving precision and painted in colors that still glow with divine radiance. Step through the temple entrance into halls filled with golden light filtering through clerestory windows. The walls around you tell the eternal story of Osiris, the benevolent king who was murdered by his jealous brother Set, dismembered and scattered across Egypt. only to be lovingly reassembled by his devoted wife Isis. Through her magic and tears, Osiris was restored to life, becoming the first mummy and ruler of the blessed dead, walked deeper into the temple, following the path that countless pilgrims have worn smooth with their devotions. 7 sanctuaries line the back wall, each dedicated to a major deity. Osiris at the center, flanked by Isis, Horus, Amun-Ra, Ra-Harakti, Ptah, and the deified Seti I himself. The air is cool and sacred, perfumed with the lingering essence of frankincense burned here for over 3,000 years. Listen to the desert wind carrying whispers of the Abydos king list, carved on the temple walls. This precious record names 76 pharaohs, from Menes, the first king of unified Egypt, to Seti I himself. Yet certain names are conspicuously absent: Hatshepsut, the female pharaoh, Akhenaten, the heretic king, and Tutankhamun, whose reign was considered illegitimate. The list reveals how the Egyptians chose to remember their history, editing out those who challenged traditional order. Feel the mystery of the Osirian, the strange underground structure behind the main temple. Built from massive granite blocks, some weighing over 100 tons, this enigmatic building may represent the mythical tomb of Osiris himself, or perhaps a symbolic recreation of the primordial mound of creation. Its design is so unusual, so archaic in style, that some believe it predates the temple by thousands of years, though most archaeologists place it in the same period as Seti's monument. Notice the exquisite quality of the temple's reliefs, carved in the finest raised relief technique, where the background stone was carefully cut away, leaving the figures standing proud from the surface. The artists achieved a level of detail that rivals the greatest Renaissance masters, capturing the gentle expressions of gods and goddesses, the flowing lines of ceremonial garments, the intricate patterns of jewelry and regalia. Descend into the mysterious passages beneath the temple, where underground chambers extend deep into the bedrock. These hidden rooms may have served as crypts for sacred relics, or as settings for mystery plays that reenacted the death and resurrection of Osiris. The walls are covered with texts from the Book of the Dead, spells and prayers that guided souls through the perils of the afterlife. The morning sun slants through the temple doorways, illuminating scenes of eternal judgment, where Osiris sits enthroned in the Hall of Two Truths, weighing the hearts of the dead against the feather of Ma'at. His green skin symbolizes rebirth and regeneration, his crook and flail the shepherd king's authority over his flock of souls. Around him stand the 42 judges of the dead, each responsible for examining a specific aspect of moral conduct. Feel the profound comfort this temple offered to ancient believers. In a world where death seemed final and terrifying, the cult of Osiris promised resurrection and eternal life. Every Egyptian hoped to become an Osiris after death, to be justified in the divine tribunal and welcomed into the blessed realm of the afterlife. The temple at Abydos was the earthly embodiment of that hope, a place where death was transformed into promise. Walk through the Hall of Mysteries, where secret rituals once reenacted the passion of Osiris. These ceremonies were so sacred that their details were never fully recorded, leaving us to imagine the dramatic presentations of divine death and resurrection that moved worshippers to tears of joy and hope. The very stones seemed to pulse with the accumulated devotion of countless generations. The desert silence embraces this holy place, where time seems suspended between the world of the living and the realm of the blessed dead. Pilgrims still come here, drawn by the same spiritual magnetism that attracted their ancient predecessors, seeking connection with mysteries that transcend the boundaries of mortality. Breathe slowly, and let the eternal promise of resurrection carry you toward peaceful rest. Chapter 18. The obelisks, needles to the sun rising like stone prayers toward the heavens, scattered across Egypt and beyond, stand the mysterious obelisks, these slender granite spires that ancient pharaohs raised to honor the sun god Ra. Each one carved from a single massive block of stone, transported hundreds of miles, and erected with engineering skills that still puzzle modern architects. These solar needles caught the first light of dawn and marked the passage of time with their moving shadows. Feel yourself standing in the ancient granite quarries of Aswan, where the red stone glows like crystallized fire in the desert. RT heat. Here, master craftsmen selected perfect blocks of granite, free from flaws that might crack during the delicate carving process. Using only copper tools, wooden wedges, and dolerite pounders, they shaped these monumental spires, some weighing over 300 tons. The unfinished obelisk still lies here, abandoned when a crack appeared, showing us the ancient techniques frozen in time. Walk among the obelisks that still stand in their original positions, at Karnak Temple, where the pink granite catches the golden light of sunset. These towering monuments rise over 100 feet into the desert sky, their surfaces covered with hieroglyphic inscriptions that proclaim the pharaoh's devotion to the gods. The obelisk of Hatshepsut, though later partially enclosed by her successor, still bears her proud declarations of divine favor, while that of Thutmose I celebrates military victories in distant lands. Listen to the desert wind singing around these stone needles, carrying whispers of the incredible journeys they made from quarry to temple. Imagine the massive granite blocks loaded onto specially built barges, floating down the Nile during the annual flood when the river ran high and strong. Teams of hundreds of workers guided these precious cargoes, while priests performed rituals to ensure safe passage. The transport of a single obelisk was a national undertaking, requiring months of preparation and coordination. Feel the mystery of their erection. How did ancient engineers raise these massive spires without modern cranes or machinery? Evidence suggests they used enormous ramps of sand and stone, rope and lever systems, and perhaps rolling logs to position the obelisks over their prepared bases. The moment of raising must have been both terrifying and triumphant, as hundreds of workers coordinated their efforts to lift these monuments to the gods. Notice the perfect proportions of these ancient skyscrapers. Their height is typically 10 times their base width, creating elegant spires that seem to pierce the sky. The pyramidal cap, called a pyramidion, was often covered with electrum, an alloy of gold and silver that blazed like a star when struck by sunlight. These gleaming peaks made each obelisk a beacon of divine light, visible for miles across the desert landscape. Travel in your mind to the obelisks that now stand in distant cities. London, Paris, New York, Rome. These ancient monuments were transported in modern times, gifts from Egypt to the world, yet they still carry the mystery of their origins. In Central Park, Cleopatra's Needle casts its shadow on American soil, while its twin stands on the Thames embankment, both weathering climates far harsher than the dry Egyptian desert that preserved them for millennia. Step closer to read the hieroglyphic texts carved deep into the granite surfaces. These inscriptions tell of royal achievements, divine blessings, and cosmic connections. The pharaohs who raised these monuments believed they were creating eternal links between earth and heaven. The obelisk's pointed tip, reaching toward Ra's solar disk, symbolized the pharaoh's role as intermediary between gods and mortals. The morning sun strikes the eastern face of an obelisk at Luxor Temple, illuminating cartouches that spell out the names of Ramesses II. The hieroglyphs seem to glow with inner fire as the light moves across the polished granite. This same obelisk once stood with a twin, but its partner now graces the Place de la Concorde in Paris. Separated by continents but still pointing toward the same eternal sun. Feel the spiritual significance these monuments held for their creators. Obelisks were not mere decorations, but sacred objects that focused divine energy. Their shadows marked the hours of the day, while their gleaming peaks announced the presence of the gods to all who approached the temples. They were sundials, prayer wheels, and beacons of hope carved from the living stone of the earth. Watch the play of light and shadow as the sun moves across the sky, revealing why the Egyptians called obelisks tekenu, meaning to pierce. These monuments pierce the barrier between earth and heaven, between mortal time and divine eternity. Their shadows sweep across temple courtyards like the hands of cosmic clocks, marking the endless cycle of days and seasons. The evening light turns the granite golden, then rose, then deep purple as the sun sets behind the western mountains. The obelisks stand in silhouette against the star-filled sky, etern. Sentinels that have witnessed the rise and fall of empires, yet continue their patient vigil, pointing always toward the light. Let these ancient fingers of stone guide your thoughts skyward, toward the peaceful realm of dreams. Chapter 19. Philae, island of Isis far to the south, where the Nile flows through granite cataracts and ancient Nubia begins. We discover the sacred island of Philae, the Pearl of Egypt, where the goddess Isis was worshipped for over 1,000 years after the Pharaohs fell. This enchanted sanctuary, surrounded by the rushing waters of the first cataract, became the last bastion of the old religion, where ancient rituals continued long into the Christian era. Feel the gentle spray of the Nile as your boat approaches the island. The temple complex rises from the water like a vision from a dream, its graceful columns and pylons reflected in the dark river that flows around it. Palm trees sway softly in the evening breeze, their fronds rustling with the whispered prayers of countless pilgrims who came here seeking the blessing of Isis, the Great Mother, goddess of magic, healing, and eternal love. Step onto the sacred island where every stone tells the story of devotion to the divine feminine. The main temple, dedicated to Isis, was begun in the Ptolemaic period and completed under Roman rule. Yet it follows the ancient Egyptian architectural traditions, its walls covered with hieroglyphs and reliefs that show the goddess in all her aspects: mother, protector, magician, and queen of heaven. Walk through the first pylon into the temple courtyard, where colonnades create galleries of cool shadow. The capitals of the columns are carved as lotus buds and papyrus flowers, symbols of Upper and Lower Egypt united in worship of Isis. Between the columns, walls bear scenes of pharaohs and Roman emperors making offerings to the goddess, showing how her worship transcended political changes, remaining constant through centuries of upheaval. Listen to the gentle lapping of water against the island's shores, carrying echoes of the Isis mysteries, secret rituals that drew initiates from across the ancient world. Here, in the most sacred chambers, priests reenacted the story of Isis and Osiris, the divine love that conquered death itself. The goddess who gathered the scattered pieces of her murdered husband, who conceived their son Horus through divine magic, who became the eternal mother protecting all who called upon her name. Feel the mystery of the sacred well, deep beneath the temple, where the Nile's pure water was believed to spring from the tears of Isis. These holy waters possessed healing powers, and pilgrims carried vessels of them back to distant lands. The annual flood of the Nile was said to begin here, when Isis wept for her beloved Osiris, her tears swelling the river that brought life to all Egypt. Notice the beautiful birthhouse, the mummies, where the divine child Horus was said to have been born. The walls show Isis nursing the infant god, scenes of maternal tenderness that made her beloved by mothers throughout the ancient world. Christians later identified Isis with the Virgin Mary, both divine mothers who protected their children and interceded for humanity. Climb to the roof of the temple, where small chapels house the most sacred rituals. Here, priests performed the resurrection mystery, using a golden statue of Osiris that was filled with Nile water and sacred grain. As the grain sprouted, it symbolized the god's return to life, promising renewal and rebirth to all believers. The morning sun streaming across these rooftop sanctuaries turns the sandstone golden, as warm as divine blessing. The island holds secrets of religious transition. When Christianity spread through Egypt, Philae remained a stronghold of the old faith. The last hieroglyphic inscription was carved here in 394 CE, while the temple remained active until the Byzantine Emperor Justinian finally closed it in 550 CE. For over 8 centuries after the last pharaoh, the ancient rituals continued on this sacred island. Feel the poignancy of modern Philae's story, when the Aswan High Dam threatened to submerge the island forever. UNESCO undertook one of history's greatest rescue operations. Every stone was carefully numbered, photographed, and moved to nearby Ajilkia Island. The entire temple complex was reconstructed with such precision that visitors can barely tell it has been moved. A testament to international cooperation in preserving humanity's heritage. Walk among the smaller temples scattered across the island, shrines to Hathor, Imhotep, and other beloved deities. Each structure adds its voice to the symphony of devotion that made Philae the holiest site in southern Egypt. The evening light filters through the colonnades, creating patterns of light and shadow that dance like the eternal interplay between life and death, between sorrow and joy. The Nile flows eternally around the island, just as it did when Isis was worshipped here by pharaohs and commoners alike. Night-blooming lotus flowers open their white petals to the rising moon, releasing their sweet perfume into the desert air. The same flowers that symbolized resurrection in ancient belief, opening with the sun, closing with darkness, promising eternal return. Listen to the temple's silence, broken only by the gentle sound of water against stone. This peaceful sanctuary witnessed the last gasps of pharaonic civilization, yet also celebrated the eternal feminine divine that transcends all temporal boundaries. Isis remains, in legend and symbol, the mother who protects, the wife who loves, the magician who heals. Breathe slowly, and let the eternal compassion of the Great Mother carry you toward healing rest. Chapter 20. The Lost Labyrinth. Amenemhat's mystery. For our final journey through ancient Egypt's mysteries, we venture to the windswept sands of Hawara, where the ruins of Pharaoh Amenemhat III's pyramid hide one of antiquity's greatest lost wonders, the legendary labyrinth, described by Greek historian Herodotus as more magnificent than the pyramids themselves. A vast complex of halls and chambers that once covered 27 acres, now buried beneath centuries of shifting desert sand. Feel yourself walking across the desolate landscape where this marvel once stood. The brick pyramid of Amenemhat rises from the sand like a weathered mountain, its mud-brick construction eroded by 4,000 years of desert winds. Yet this modest monument once anchored a complex so magnificent that ancient visitors compared it to the mythical labyrinth of Crete, calling it one of the wonders of the world. Listen to the desert wind carrying whispers of Herodotus's amazement when he visited this site over 2,000 years ago. He described a building containing 3,000 rooms, half above ground and half below, connected by a bewildering maze of corridors and passages. The underground chambers were forbidden to visitors, said to contain the tombs of the kings and sacred crocodiles, while the upper halls displayed the wealth and administrative power of the 12th dynasty. Imagine walking through these lost halls as they appeared in their prime. Polished granite columns supporting cedar wood ceilings carved with golden stars. Walls lined with precious stones and metals, depicting the gods and goddesses of Egypt's complex pantheon. Courts filled with pools and gardens, where lotus flowers bloomed and sacred fish swam in channels fed by the nearby Lake Moeris. The air would have been perfumed with frankincense and myrrh, while soft footsteps echoed through chambers that seemed to stretch beyond the horizon. Feel the mystery of the labyrinth's true purpose. Was it merely a mortuary temple for the pharaoh, or something far more complex? Some scholars believe it served as the administrative center for the Fayum region, where officials from all 42 nomes of Egypt gathered for great councils. Each province would have had its own hall, decorated with local symbols and housing regional archives, making the labyrinth a kind of parliament building where the business of governing the kingdom was conducted. Notice how the desert has reclaimed this wonder. What Herodotus saw as a magnificent building, archaeologists now find as scattered foundation stones and fragments of statuary buried in sand. Sabak diggers, searching for ancient fertilizer, carted away much of the structure in the 19th century, leaving only tantalizing clues to its former grandeur. A colossal statue here, a granite lintel there, like pieces of a vast puzzle scattered by time. Walk among the sparse ruins that remain visible, feeling the warm sandstone blocks that once formed the outer walls. Modern excavations have revealed portions of the ground plan, showing a complex arrangement of courtyards and halls that defies easy understanding. The layout seems deliberately confusing, perhaps designed to bewilder intruders while allowing initiated priests to navigate the sacred spaces with confidence. The afternoon sun casts long shadows across the site, illuminating mounds of debris that may conceal entire chambers waiting to be rediscovered. Ground-penetrating radar has detected anomalies beneath the sand, suggesting that much of the labyrinth may still exist, preserved by the same desert conditions that have protected so many Egyptian treasures. Somewhere beneath your feet may lie halls that once echoed with the voices of ancient administrators, planning irrigation projects, recording tax collections, and governing the most sophisticated state of the ancient world. Feel the connection between this lost wonder and the eternal Nile. The labyrinth was built at the edge of the Fayum Depression, where the river's waters were carefully managed through a complex system of canals and reservoirs. Lake Moeris, now much reduced, once served as a giant regulator, storing floodwater in abundant years and releasing it during times of scarcity. The labyrinth may have been the command center for this vast hydraulic engineering project. Listen to the silence where once thousands of officials conducted the business of empire. Scribes recording grain harvests, tax collectors tallying tribute from Nubia, architects planning new temples, astronomers calculating the calendar. All the complex machinery of government that kept Egypt prosperous for 3 millennia may have been coordinated from these halls that now sleep beneath the desert sand. The golden light of late afternoon bathes the site in warmth, transforming the scattered stones into jewels against the pale sand. This is how the labyrinth appears now, as fragments and memories, yet its impact on the ancient world was so profound that its fame reached Greece, inspiring legends and influencing architecture for centuries. The very word, labyrinth, comes from the Egyptian word, loper hanat, meaning, temple at the mouth of the lake. As the sun sets behind the distant pyramid, the mystery deepens rather than resolves. How much of this wonder still lies buried, waiting for future archaeologists to uncover? What treasures of art and knowledge rest in chambers sealed by sand? What insights into ancient Egyptian administration and belief might emerge when the desert finally yields its secrets? Our journey through 20 mysteries of ancient Egypt draws to a close here, among the windswept ruins where one of humanity's greatest architectural achievements waits patiently for rediscovery. The labyrinth reminds us that even our greatest monuments are temporary, yet the human spirit that created them, the desire to build, to explore, to remember, remains eternal. Breathe slowly, and let the peaceful mysteries of ancient Egypt carry you into restful dreams. And so, our gentle journey through the mysteries of ancient Egypt comes to its peaceful conclusion. We have wandered together through 20 wonders that span over 3 millennia of human achievement, each one a testament to the remarkable civilization that flourished along the sacred Nile. We began at the Great Pyramid of Giza, that eternal mountain of stone where 2.5 million blocks still puzzle engineers with their mathematical precision. We gazed into the weathered eyes of the Great Sphinx, guardian of riddles that may never be fully solved. We descended into the Valley of the Kings, where pharaohs sleep surrounded by golden treasures and painted prayers for the afterlife. Feel yourself drifting deeper into relaxation, as we remember the boy king Tutankhamun, whose intact tomb revealed the incredible artistry of ancient Egyptian craftsmen. The towering columns of Karnak Temple still echo with the hymns of priests who served there for centuries, while at Abu Simbel, the colossal statues of Ramesses II continue their eternal watch over the Nile. Let your breathing slow and deepen, as you recall the sacred papyrus scrolls of the Book of the Dead, guidebooks for souls navigating the mysterious afterlife. The underwater ruins of Cleopatra's Alexandria shimmer beneath Mediterranean waves, holding secrets of the last pharaoh's magnificent court. The Rosetta Stone unlocked the voices of ancient scribes, allowing hieroglyphs to speak again after 15 centuries of silence. Your body grows heavier, more peaceful, as we remember the star maps carved in the ceiling of Dendera Temple, where ancient astronomers recorded their understanding of the cosmos. The bent pyramid at Dashur shows us how master builders learned through experimentation. While the step pyramid at Saqqara represents humanity's first attempt to build a stairway to heaven. Feel yourself sinking deeper into comfort, like settling into warm desert sand, as you think of the eternal Nile, that ribbon of life flowing through the desert, bringing fertility to a land that would otherwise be barren. The sacred art of mummification preserved bodies for millennia, reflecting the profound Egyptian belief that death was merely a doorway to continued existence. Your muscles relax completely, as we visited Queen Hatshepsut's elegant temple, carved into the living rock of Deir el-Bahari. The missing pyramidions that once crowned every pyramid remind us that even the most magnificent monuments are incomplete puzzles, while the Temple of Osiris at Abydos offered hope of resurrection to countless pilgrims across the centuries. Let your mind drift peacefully, remembering the towering obelisks that pierce the sky like granite prayers, and the island temple of Philae, where the goddess Isis was worshipped long after the pharaohs fell. Finally, we stood among the scattered ruins at Hawara, where the legendary labyrinth once amazed visitors from across the ancient world. These 20 mysteries represent far more than ancient achievements. They reveal a civilization that understood something profound about the human condition. The Egyptians believed that nothing truly dies, that love transcends death, that the works we create with devotion become eternal. Their monuments were not built for the living, but for eternity itself. Feel the wisdom of this ancient perspective settling into your consciousness. In a world where everything seemed temporary and fragile, the Egyptians created works designed to last forever. They understood that while individual lives are brief, the human spirit endures through the beauty we create, the love we share, and the mysteries we leave for future generations to ponder. Your breathing becomes slower, more rhythmic, like the eternal flow of the Nile itself. The ancient Egyptians saw death not as an ending but as a transformation. They prepared for it not with fear but with hope, surrounding themselves with beautiful things and sacred texts that would guide them to rebirth. Their tombs were not places of mourning but launching pads for eternal adventure. Let this ancient wisdom flow through you like peaceful water. The pyramids still stand because they were built with love, not just by pharaohs for themselves, but by thousands of workers who understood they were creating something sacred. The hieroglyphs still speak because scribes wrote them believing their words would outlast empires. The mummies still rest peacefully because embalmers prepared them believing in the reality of resurrection. Feel yourself becoming part of this eternal story, for in learning about ancient Egypt, in wondering at their achievements, in feeling moved by their beliefs, you participate in their greatest victory over death. You ensure that their civilization continues, that their voices still speak, that their mysteries still inspire wonder in human hearts. The desert wind grows gentler now, carrying the scent of lotus blossoms and the sound of distant temple bells. The stars that guided ancient Egyptian souls through the underworld now shine down on your peaceful rest. The same moon that blessed pharaohs in their golden barges now watches over your dreams. Ancient Egypt teaches us that we are all part of something larger than ourselves, part of the great human story that stretches from the first pyramid builders to the last person who will ever gaze in wonder at the Sphinx. We are links in an unbroken chain of consciousness, inheritors of wisdom, guardians of beauty, creators of the future's mysteries. Let this thought settle into your heart like a blessing. You carry within you the same spark that inspired ancient artists to paint tomb walls, the same curiosity that drove astronomers to map the heavens, the same love that motivated mourners to prepare their dead for eternal life. You are part of the continuing mystery of human consciousness, the eternal quest to understand, to create, to love. The Nile flows on in darkness, carrying moonlight and starlight toward the sea, just as it carried the boats of pharaohs and the dreams of common people. The river that brought life to ancient Egypt still flows, reminding us that while civilizations rise and fall, the sources of life remain constant. water, earth, sky, and the human heart that finds meaning in beauty. Your body rests now as peacefully as a pharaoh in his golden sarcophagus, surrounded not by grave goods but by the riches of memory, the treasures of wonder, the precious gems of mystery that we have discovered together. These gifts of ancient Egypt are yours to keep, forever part of the wealth of your dreaming mind. The desert grows quiet, the last echo of our footsteps fading into silence. The monuments stand eternal in the darkness, patient and unchanging, holding their secrets with dignity, waiting for dawn to reveal their beauty once again. And you, dear traveler, rest in the knowledge that some mysteries are meant not to be solved but to be savored, not to be conquered but to be celebrated. Sleep now, in the peace of ancient Egypt, where time moves slowly, where beauty endures, where love conquers death, and where every ending is also a beginning. Let the eternal mysteries carry you into dreams as golden as Pharaoh's treasure, as peaceful as the Nile at sunset, as infinite as the star-filled sky above the timeless pyramids. Good night.